Great.
Can't give her a round of applause then. And the lady on the right, my right, sorry. What's your name?
My name is Fiona.
And I'm not going to ignore the lady in the middle. We'll talk to you afterwards. But
Say that again.
I'm not going to ignore the lady in the middle, but we're going to introduce her afterwards.
Yes, we are.
But obviously, we're here because Sisters Talk About was a talk show that was created during the pandemic. So there's not many good things that came out of the pandemic, but I could say this is one of them. Do you agree?
Yes.
All right. And this is the second Sisters Talk About live in living colour, up close and personal. So, and this is a lovely space. Do you agree?
Yes.
So I've just been told that this is going to be home for now. So give the ladies a round of applause. You know, I'm a DJ and a promoter, and getting spaces like this is hard work. Tell me, it's hard work. So, you know, if you enjoy tonight, when you enjoy tonight, you can go away and tell someone to tell someone, and we're just going to double it up. So I'm going to hand over to Naomi and Fiona. They're going to do their thing. So once again, give them a round of applause.
Thank you, ladies and gents, and welcome. Thank you so much for being here with us. The vibe that you brought is beautiful. So yes, before we start the talk, we would like to introduce Miss Caramel Soldier from Become Immersive, which is the charity that we've collabed with and that where all of your donations will be going to. So I'll pass you the mic and then you can talk a little bit about yourself and Become Immersive.
Okay. Thank you. Good evening. Good evening. My name is Caramel Soldier, and I am one of the co-directors of Become Immersive CIC. We're a company that the CIC was actually founded again in lockdown because we just felt at that time it was something that we needed to take it seriously. So we're all about changing the brand of Africa and its descendants from the inside out. And we do initiatives and projects that are all based around identity, empowerment and creativity. So in the past we've done a 3-year festival in Sierra Leone with an organisation called PAN, who deals with a lot of the youths around there, and it's the National Storytelling Festival. So we've done it for 3 years, just helping, advising, and we've learned a lot from them as well. Present, we are doing the Become Talk cards, which again started in the lockdown. We provided an online space, a safe space for people to come and talk and just express themselves. But what actually happened is we started to talk about certain themes and topics that we discovered don't really get spoken about within our families or in our homes. So the 4 main themes that we discovered was health, wealth, relationships and identity. And it grew, and it was very consistent over the lockdown period for a good 2 years. But then obviously when lockdown was lifted, everybody went back to work. And so it was like we really enjoyed the talks, but we've got no time. I've gone back to work, etc., etc. So we put our heads together, me and Andre Bright, who is the founder of Become. We put together a product, tools. It's Become Talk cards. So the 4 themes are on there. It's split up into, each theme is split up into 10 topics. And in those 10 topics, there are 3 questions. So if you don't mind, ladies, I'm going to ask you a quick question just to give a demonstration. Is that okay?
I wasn't ready for okay.
Okay. Oh, we can do it later because obviously
No, let's go ahead.
Okay, real quick.
Okay.
Just to give you an idea, it's, and they're very thought-provoking. We also have breakers, because what we found in the talks was that people were getting triggered by these questions.
Right, okay.
So we've put in 10 breaker cards to either ice break a situation, break up the situation and then close the situation. I'm sorry, and then close the situation. So these are the cards, but the white, yellow, brown, and dark green. So you can just pick one.
That one is
There. Okay, so we have health.
Okay.
Do you want to?
What is that for the both of us?
Yeah. Because I don't want to cut too much time, so we'll just ask one question.
Do I need to look at the...
Well, you can do it. Okay, so we've picked your boundaries. Now remember, you don't have to answer. They're thought-provoking and they're for you to basically contemplate. If you feel like you want to then discuss, brilliant. Or if you want to then pick it apart. So the cards are for you to then interpret how you want to.
Right.
And, you know, and then depending on how you want to, or who you want to have the discussion with.
Right, okay.
But for now, we're having this discussion here.
Okay.
So question one
Yes.
is, how do you identify boundaries with yourself and others?
Oh.
That's a good
Sorry, the audience, I just saw everybody's faces in the audience go.
Okay, I'll start.
How do you identify
boundaries with myself and others? When I feel it's necessary and when it's needed, I will just go quiet. Like, my phone could be ringing off. It could be, ringing consistently. There's some people that just don't take a hint when you don't pick up the phone. You know, but I will, because before, like, when I wasn't in a mental space to be able to talk, I would like answer the phone and then apologize for not being able to really be present. However, now what I started to do it a while ago is I just won't pick up the phone, and if I have the energy to, I'll send a message and I'll say I'll get back to you. But if not, and I don't really believe it's going to be anything of any importance, I'll give it whatever time I need until I get back to that person, to honor myself in the space. Because there's times when it's just like, I do need that space, or I'm not able to take, I just don't have the mental capacity to take on certain conversations or certain energies, you know. And I have a better understanding of the people that I communicate with, especially on a regular, of their like vibration and what they're gonna want, and I say with rabbit ears, need from me, you know, like what is the kind of repetitive communication where it's going to go, and there's certain conversations that I just can't entertain. So I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to hold my corner and just hold back, and if that person gets irate, that's on them.
Okay, so
I'm
just there.
Okay.
You could take that deeper. Right?
Yeah.
Pass the mic back over. Pass the mic back over.
Sorry.
Oh.
So I was just saying, just in regards to that answer, so that's with yourself, and then you can pick that apart, but then that will be down on you on how deep you want to take the questions. So we give you the starting point, and then it's for you to then, like I said, how deep you want to pick and go through, and okay, so those boundaries and that protection that you mentioned, is that actually safe for yourself? Are you doing yourself a detriment? Or so you can pick different ways of how you can answer the question and think about it. And I know your sister's in the audience right now, so I'm gonna, don't worry, and you don't have to answer it. But it's,
I never ignore you.
okay, so
I never ignore you.
I answer that question now in regards to how do you identify boundaries with others or with your sister.
Okay.
So straight away would you say, okay, I know she does this, and that's boundary number one, that's like step one, that we just don't talk about it, or do you get what I'm saying? These are thought-provoking questions for you to just think, cool, how am I actually acting within that space with that person? And then flipping it. So there's 6 cards in here, which are how to use the cards. So they're all suggestions. Yes. Sorry. Love it. They're the how to use the cards. So the first bit is to set the space. So respect, to listen. Know about active listening. How does that work? We have a card that tells you about the Indian talking stick.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so I don't know if you know about the Indian talking stick, but it's basically the person who's holding the stick is the only person that can speak within that group. However, you take it a step further, that person doesn't pass that stick on until that person feels they're understood by everybody in that room or in that space. So you could relay back exactly what I said. Well, I think you said this and da. I didn't mean that. So I keep it and we go again until I feel like I'm really understood. Whether you agree or disagree is a different thing, but until I'm understood, and then wrong. So they're just different ways of how you can approach your conversation. So it doesn't have to be just, oh, I'm going to answer the question and then get irate or triggered and then that's it. Okay, well, let's try it from this angle, the bigger picture. Everything we answer is from a bigger picture, not from your world, from other people's world, or from the social aspect of things. Or we're just going to answer it from your world, the smaller picture, how it innately affects you and the people around you. So I know I kind of cut you and just rushing through, but just to give you an idea of how you use the cards, and these are all lessons and what we took from the talks of how people were answering, how we were questioning people, and being sensitive and mindful to the fact that they are triggering and what does trigger. And there was a lot of love languages were brought up, and a lot of people didn't know about your love, like what their love language is and how they give and receive those love languages. So just being mindful of that then made the question a completely different question. And your emotional languages and your apology languages. These are all things like when I checked, I was like, yeah, my nan, she would beat you and then give you food. That was her apology. There was no talking about, I'm sorry, but you have to, No, it was just eat this. Oh, that's my favourite, so we're okay. So really quickly, I'm going to ask you the second question. How do you enforce boundaries with yourself and others?
With myself, I do reflection. So I go in and I do reflection and I ask myself certain questions, because if there's boundaries across, then there's the triggers, and I will start to act and respond to that person in a different way, and then I have to take myself back and say, right, okay, no, set the boundaries, Fiona. Okay, you know what the trigger is. Okay, if this is the trigger, you can't let it get to that point. What was the second question?
So how do you enforce your boundaries with yourself and others?
Right, okay. With others, I think similar to what Naomi said in regards to not responding, say, to a message straight away, or if that person's calling me, I thought, you know what, let me just not answer it right now because I'm not in that headspace, or I know they've crossed their boundaries. I need to take a minute or two and reflect on what I'm going to say before I get back to that person. Yeah.
And this is me just asking. So from the answer, which makes sense.
Yeah.
But how do they're all solution driven as well.
Yeah.
So when you answer a question, what is the next step with that? Is it just, oh, I didn't know that, that's great. Or, okay, I'm going to actively or proactively start putting things in place so we don't have to go down that route again. Or I'm going to start making a habit that doesn't happen again, and now we just know this is the flow, this is the boundary, this is the line of respect. So my question is, how do you be active or proactive on that spot instead of having to take that space to reflect? Is it something where you can, once you've reflected, you know now what you're doing, to not have to go back to that reflection point again.
Yeah, once I've reflected, I now know, okay, right, I know what I need to do, what I not need to do.
Right.
That's how I handle it. Yeah.
Hard one, because especially when you like just saying no to somebody when you normally say yes, or they're just expecting you to be like, yeah, she'll do it, and you're like, actually, not today.
Yeah, literally learning how to say no is quite a challenging thing.
Yeah.
Which I learned when I was doing like the self-minded or my self-development myself. Literally, I'm not a yes person. I don't need to say yes to everything. If I don't feel it's right, it's not right. It's literally a no.
It took me a long time to get to that point, because for a big chunk of my life I was the yes person. I didn't want to upset anyone.
Mind.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. And they're like,
yeah, for a large chunk of my life I was the yes person. I didn't want to upset anyone. I didn't want anyone to flip on me. I didn't want the confrontation. Even though I'm cool with confrontation, I can, protect myself and handle myself, but I just rather not. I just don't want to. I just didn't want to use the energy with that. But it's interesting. Sorry, speaking about this, because it has. But in this moment, I've just been reflecting of all the confrontation I have had for me setting the boundaries. And also, it's still a boundary that I'm still very much working on, because there's times where I do still answer the phone. There's many times when I don't, but then there's times when I have, and I'd rather that I didn't. Or that I wasn't ready to, because I knew that certain subjects or conversations were going to be forced onto me, and I just didn't want to talk about it.
So why did you pick up the phone?
That is a good question.
Were you hoping it wasn't going to be some of those subjects?
It was guilt, kind of feeling guilty and not wanting to have to, because there's particular people with the explaining. I hate over explaining myself, so it was just like preempting that. Let me just answer the phone now, because then I just don't have to explain myself later, because then to this person they just don't get it, and it's just like having to go over and over and over, because they just want to explode on about their point instead of actually listening to what I'm saying, or honouring that, you know what, even like I'm not well at the moment, I can't take it on, I'm exhausted, I'm tired, or I'm going through this, like I don't want to have to explain. But then there's some people that it's like they demand that, so there are times when I have picked up the phone, so just to avoid that anything heavy happening later, but this is good, because it's something that I'm still very much working on. I haven't perfected it.
You're not the only one. Mine is push-up face. I just say you're not the only one. Mine is push-up face. Like I don't know how to control it. Like if you ask me something, I'm gonna have to say yes or that's just me. But I don't want to right now. So it's like, well. But they're still gonna ask you and expect you to do it.
You know what? I have to say, okay, you say push-up face. This one, this lady right here. Listen, she thinks she's got poker face, and I'm like, yo, check the face. Like you ask me or something, and then her face is the answer.
Don't worry, I feel you. I'm there with you.
I feel in my face. No one can see, but probably I've been told many times.
And the funny thing is, you know what? Since us doing this Sisters Talk About, right? And then when we're going back and we're watching some of the footage from Instagram back, and I'm like, did you see her face then? Did you see her face before you answered?
Yeah, I have done. Yeah.
Right. So it's like we've got a year of facts that she's got the face, because for many years she would deny the face. Now we've got facts.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're most welcome. I love you.
So, So these are the cards. There are 120 thought-provoking questions in there. You can either use them as self-reflection, which I do a lot of. So I pick a card out once a week, I answer a question, and I do journaling. I'm a journaler, I like to bullet journal, so I'm finding them quite helpful myself. I'm actually using them for me and my niece. We're having conversations, because she's 15 now, so I'm like, we need to talk. And just get that conversation going. So and then you can do them as conversations, or you can do them as like games night or dinner night. I would say maybe pick the questions first. Like literally, or make sure you have the breaker cards ready to go. Okay, let's just freestyle some music. So I just want to say also, on behalf of me and Andre, thank you ever so much for the donations, and thank you to you, because your donations have gone towards us facilitating a workshop with a youth group. And so we're going to gift one, basically, and we're promoting these now to do as many conversations, especially with the youth, so they can normalise, have these kind of conversations about wealth, about health, about relationships, about identity, where it's not, well, we're not talking about that in our house, or I don't even know where to start. It becomes, no, let's have that conversation. And then I'm going to speak to my nan about that, because X, Y, and Z. So that's where I'm at with the cards, how I'm pushing them. So yeah, so just want to say thank you for that. I do have a few, if anybody wants to get on me. And don't worry, I have a card machine too. I'm ready for you.
Sorry, how much are they?
Sorry, they're £15 at the moment. They're on promo, so
okay.
First 50.
And the lady here just asked, from what age would be appropriate to start these?
So, gosh, they are very thought-provoking.
That should be a question in there.
Well, to be honest, this is volume 1. Like, you've still got loads more questions, but they can be adapted. So the questions that are asked, you can adapt them so they're comprehensive to whoever, the age group that you are talking about. We had an English teacher actually that I'm still waiting for her feedback, but she was like, I'd love to do this as a session with my students. So I said, well, read them first, and then and she said, yeah, I've had a look through, and I will adapt some of the questions, but definitely. So I'm saying any child that's comprehensive, that understands, have that conversation. Start having that conversation about the wealth situation. Yeah. We never spoke about money. A lot of our family, and even down to generational wealth in regards to death, wills. And that's all in here for us to start being more proactive about it. Because I was like brave, I was like, yeah, Mum, so on these cars that we've designed here, talking about wills, I'm not dead yet. Okay. You're not ready for that conversation.
And then she beat your favourite meal.
And then give me food.
What's your favourite meal?
Oh, I've just cut out meat.
Okay. What was your favourite meal?
Ackee and saltfish and hard food.
So how do we substitute? We can still have the hard food.
Yeah, and the ackee.
Still have the ackee.
But it just doesn't have that extra with the saltfish. But yeah, so that's I'll be in the talk like here. So if you do want cards, and I've got some. The contact details if you're not ready to get yet, but you can go on our website and get more information. And any questions, I will be back over there. But thank you once again.
Give that lady a round of applause. I will definitely be getting a packet of cards myself. So make sure you put my name on one.
I will.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've got to tell you that when you're ready to speak, I have the microphone that you will use. So I'll just put your hand up like you're at school, I suppose. Yeah, is that all right?
Yeah, fine.
Yeah. And then I'll bring the mic over to you.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, before we get started, I want to introduce you to Sisters Talk About. If you haven't listened to our talk shows on Instagram already, myself, Fiona, my cousin Naomi, sister, cousin, friends. as the host Shakti said, it started during lockdown in February 2021 to be exact. And it's just literally, we talk on the phone because this one can talk for an hour, 2 hours. She can talk for a long time.
when she answered the phone.
When she answers the phone, when you answer, so all those times to answer the phone. Okay,
Sure.
But yeah, we have very meaningful, deep, and very long, drawn-out conversations
about everything
and anything. Yeah. And at the time it was lockdown, we seen everyone was going on Instagram, posting, doing stuff, talking. So why don't we just bring our conversation to Instagram and see who wants to listen? They can tune in, they can not tune in, we can just talk to ourselves. So that's literally how it started. And then from doing that, what we realized with the space is that we wanted to create it for us, people that look like us, the black man and the black woman. We wanted to create our own space for us, so we can talk freely, openly,
unapologetically,
and unapologetically.
Yeah, in a safe space.
We are women, we invite men as well, because we want to hear that man's point of view and that man's perspective, because we feel that it's very important.
I must ask you a question there, because obviously it's being filmed. If people that don't look like us want to come to this and want to watch,
all welcome.
Yeah,
all welcome to watch. However, we speak first.
Yeah,
that's literally how it is. This is for us, by us, for us. We have the floor. This is our platform. So we speak first. We are not discriminate. Anyone can come. Anyone can come and say, we value your opinion, but let us speak first, because it's for us.
Because we found that there's, especially because our focus is safety. We don't have a lot of that in society. Even like day to day, we can be cool and we're just getting on with things easy. However, the word safe isn't 100% for us. You know, even if we've had a good day, but there's something on the news or something that's happened and it's triggering. Like even today, I'm not going to go into it, but heard something that happened on the news, and it triggered me. I was angry. And I was cool, I was happy. I was like making my way to London from Nottingham, like, yeah, ready for today, tonight, all of that. And then someone sent me something, and it was just like, here we go again. So, yeah, like we realised it's been the past few months that our mission and our aim is to really build on this network of safety and to really bring, like doing our part of bringing us together. So that we're creating a space, you know, like we're yeah, because like last year it was just us like oh, we're full of vibes, let's bring our vibes to the gram, you know, and all of that. But it's just like, yeah, we're still bringing the vibes. However, like, oh wow, I think our purpose is really to elevate our voices, because we're not heard. Even with one another, we're not heard. Like, we're not really listening to one another. There's a lot of content that we've both seen, which has been hella triggering, where the man and the woman's always arguing, or it's woman and woman, and it's just like, you know what? Well, we know we're not about that life, but it's just like, let's just see where this goes, and let's build on this. And yeah, like our focus is really like elevating the voices of black men and black women, and having more of us coming together and talking and listening, learning. So yeah, let's just talk about it. And thank you so much. That this is like, yeah, you guys being here with us, it means a lot. It really does. So thank you. So we're going to get started on the first subject.
Here we are. Please do not address me as a strong, independent black woman. It is not a compliment. Is there anyone here that disagrees with that or agrees with that? Yeah, you're there, my hands up. Anybody? Me personally? I agree with that statement. Because I think saying the strong, independent black woman, the man's looking at that thing, okay, you don't need me then. You've got it figured out. You can do everything by yourself. And I think that's where, as black women, some of us are going wrong, because we're saying we're strong, we're saying independent, we say we can do it all by ourselves. We're wanting to do it all by ourselves, but at the same time, the man wants to come in and help, but we say, no, I'm strong, I'm independent, I've got that. I don't need you, but I want you. A man wants, for me, I think a man likes to feel needed. He doesn't want to be wanted, he also wants to feel needed. So that narrative for me, it's a triggering narrative. It's very triggering for me when I hear black women say, I'm strong, I'm independent, don't need a man, don't want one, don't need one, and I'm good all by myself, I've got this. Don't push the black man away. Why are we pushing them away? I don't think it helps us.
Like, in my younger years, I used to, like, wear the strong black woman cape with pride, you know, and be like, yeah, I'm strong, I'm cool, I've got it. But then, I don't know what age I was, but there was a turning point for me to where, like, when I was being honest with myself, and I was just like, I don't want it. I don't want to do this alone. I don't want to have to. I'm struggling. This is heavy. I've got no one. Where's the help, you know, or the stability, or the extra strength that I need? Like, why do I always need to drag myself through this on my ones? Like, it would be nice to have someone there, you know, or not just someone, like my tribe there, like, to help, to elevate me. Why do I always have to elevate and push myself? So then I did start to question, like, where did this narrative come from? And why do so many of us wear it with so much pride? And there's a big ego that comes with that label too, you know, and that, I believe, and even like from when I was the strong black woman, you know, wearing it with pride, I was pushing people away. Even when there was offering to help, I was pushing them away. So I was really creating that lonesome space for myself, and not being open to people being in my space, or a person being in my space to do something for me. And it's just like, oh, okay, I need to trust more. I need to work on my trust. You know, I need to work on, like, who do I feel safe with, who I can unite with, you know, who's part of my tribe. And yeah, like, I don't take it as a compliment. I don't want to be called the strong black woman anymore. I've been for a long time. I don't want it. I don't need it. Like, there's days when I feel...
Sorry, 1 second. Hello, microphone, host.
Yeah, sorry.
Someone's put their hand up.
There's days when I feel weak. There's days when I'm not strong. There's days when I'm teary. There's days when, yeah, I'm soft, I'm tender, you know. You know,
and we should be okay saying that.
Yeah, you know.
I'm not strong, I'm a flower,
yeah,
I'm a gentle flower, I'm fragile.
Yeah, I'm
Today,
fragile.
I'm not strong.
Because there's days when I'm fragile, and I'm walking on eggshells, and I don't want to feel like I have to mask that because someone's going to laugh at me or look at me like, oh, what's up with you? You know, so yeah, I threw away that strong black woman cape a long time ago. And I also, just in society, because as black women, the amount of times, like in the workplace, I've been labelled as aggressive. And I, you know, like, I didn't do anything. I responded, like, when someone would say something to me, and yeah, it was triggering. And I stood up for myself, but I wasn't being aggressive. I was being assertive, but I wasn't being aggressive. Like, you really want to see aggression, it's a whole different story, you know? It's just like, I wasn't being aggressive, I was standing up for myself and I was being assertive. But yeah, it's black women, but the amount of times I've been called aggressive, the amount of black women that I know that's been called aggressive or being seen as being aggressive, and you know, it's just like, no, I don't want to be perceived that way, and I'm not gonna give. Yeah, I don't want to give off like, yeah, like I'm just like the tough skin constantly, you know. Obviously, I don't want anyone to be messing with me and trying to take me for an idiot, but, but you know, but at the same time, like, yeah, it's like just interchanging, you know. I don't feel like I need to wear that cape anymore. It's not, it hasn't actually protected me.
No.
But yeah, over to you, lady in the audience with the mic.
No, I just wanted to just put in a mix, because there's two things where we're addressing the strong, independent black woman. One is how we've actually been brought up within the family, because from when I remember when I was younger, we was given certain chores to do, but your brother was given something else, or he would have to sit in the living room whilst you're washing up and you're cursing at the sink.
Yeah.
Why not? And also, the other thing is that, okay, I agree with the statement, but I remember, as Naomi said, that before, yes, you wore the strong, as you're growing up, and also there's been personal stuff which I've been through where I've had to deal with things on my own, and people say you're strong, you're independent, you're a black woman, but then at the end of the day I was like, I don't want to be strong.
Exactly.
I don't want to be independent. I want somebody to help me.
Yeah.
Sorry, you said something about, I'm just trying to remember what you said, about the ego. So I don't want to try to force
it's okay.
Direct it, but I think also there's a vulnerability as well. So, and then it's the embarrassment of thinking, okay, I don't want people to think that I'm needing them. You know what I mean? Especially as you're, do you know, I don't know if anybody else is thinking the same thing, but we've been, from our parents, we've been projected to do certain things. This is what you're supposed to be doing. You do the chores, you do the washing, you do this, you do that. But in the background, your brothers are just doing like, he's so lazy, how come he's not doing anything? You taught how to cook, you taught how to iron, I don't know, that comes with it. So we've actually been projected to be doing certain things from when we're younger, and I don't know, we've kind of carried it all the way through until a certain age. We're thinking, oh, I don't want to be this anymore. Why should I be this?
Hi everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So I heard something very vaguely along the lines that it derived from the 80s, because before what I said, in 1952, when Glenn Roy and Eunice were together as a family with 2.4 kids, he used to go out to work, she used to stay at home with the children and whatever. Later on down the line, it became a thing of the men were seen as not being in the household. So depending on your background and how you was brought up, like you said, the children may portray what they see from their upbringing. That's definitely a factor. So moving forward, 80s, 90s, 2000 and present day, a percentage of the men are not in the household. How does it affect the children? And then as you get to an adult, how does it affect you? So yeah, definitely the upbringing is definitely a major factor. I feel as long as the family unit is a healthy, whole, loving environment, it's better with the mother and the father, definitely.
I definitely feel that I agree with the statement, and then hearing the two opinions or answers, yes, the home definitely played a strong role in our upbringing and how we feel we should be perceived by the world when we go out there. And just like yourself, like I've dug a hole for myself. My name's Caramel Soldier. There's no sympathy, none whatsoever. Soldier on then, isn't it? You're alright, you're a soldier. I'm not technically a soldier. So yeah, I put myself in that one. However, it does depend on the context as well. I think that statement, because my brand and who I am and how I'm known to the world is Caramel Soldier. And for me, it developed through a stage of a shield because of all the clapback we were getting, or how people perceived us. Like, oh, you have to have a tough skin, otherwise you're just going to keep crumbling and they're just going to step over you. So you have to have some form of strong independent with you, and that went across the board. But at home, I'm not Caramel Soldier, and I'm the most sensitive person ever that just wants to be loved, that just, you know, oh, princess, just love me. That's my thing. Really? But when I'm outside, the shield comes up and that soldier is there. However, don't treat me like, well, you're a soldier and it's just do your thing. No, I'm a woman first and foremost. Take me for what I give you. Then we can have that conversation. You know, there's going to be things that I'm going to be strong about, and there's going to be things that I'm going to go, actually, I need your help. Can you do it? So, definitely agree with it, but the context.
It's like we said there at the end, that like you said, yes, you're strong, independent, but I need that help. And I think the way that some of those females are today, the way that they're putting out this strong, independent black women, is no one really wants to help us because of how you're going about that, literally how you're presenting yourself and saying that statement. No one really wants to help us, and if we're asking for help, well, you're strong, you're a black woman, you're strong, you're tough, you can do it, you're good, you don't need my help.
So, so I think it's where you're perceived as being a strong black woman is the problem with the statement. I was thinking, when I saw the subject, you don't hear any other, I hate to use the word race,
you don't,
but you don't hear any other cultures saying strong black woman, strong black woman. I've only ever heard black.
Very true.
So I think it's because 9 times out of 10 a black woman in the workforce is under attack, as you said, with the aggressive label. So I think that then if you take it to the relationship side of things, the black woman has to kind of learn, and the black man has to learn as well. Okay, when you're at work, you're a strong black woman. When you come home, you can take off the cape and the princess, as you said, or queen. And sometimes that's where the line gets twisted, because a strong black woman may come home from work with the cape on and forget to take it off. And then that's where you get the...
In all honesty, I believe that that's happening a lot, because the amount of times, like, hearing about that dynamic within relationships, and you know, so certain women or some women being like trampled on, or being like just being left to the dust to do things on their own, and the man ain't stepping up because just like, well, you've got this, boo, like, what do you need me for? You know? But then it really is like, well, I'm not there to know, like, well, what was the dynamic to set that up? Is it that you showed him that you don't need him? Or is it that in his household growing up, he saw his mum as a strong black woman. Like, this is what women do. This is what black women do. So, you know, like, I want to set myself up with a woman that embodies my mother. You know, that cooks, cleans, washes, and I don't need to do nothing. You know, so yeah, like there, it's like the question mark of where did you both learn this, or what is the dynamic of your relationship? Or are you pushing the man away? Or is it that he's bringing in his expectations because this is how he was brought up? You know? Or even like both, like the woman bringing in, like, this is what I'm expected to do, this is what I was taught, it's taught behaviour. You know, so you bring that through to the relationship. But then with that is bringing the ego too. You know, like, I've got this, I don't need you. You know? So yeah, it's interesting, it really is interesting, but yeah. Question? Or comment?
It's not it's a comment, it's just based on from what DJ Shaq just mentioned. Because even as, just going back to being children, and that's going from the boys and the girls, and seeing from other cultures that we actually are seen as strong and different and not human, as it's been highlighted. So how we are as kids, we're supposed to accept it and be treated differently to other cultures as well. So it's not just within our community, it's coming from outside as well. And also, we, based on that, we treat our children differently and say that, okay, you can't do this, but then they see other kids from other cultures doing exactly what they want to do, but we're telling them no, because they're going to be treated different.
That's true.
Yeah. So it's a bit of a mix. It's not just about the relationship. It's a whole. It's a whole lot of things.
And it's a mindset too, because I think this day and age. Sorry, thank you. This day and age, it's changing a lot. People are more aware. People are having these conversations, right? So it's then, how do we, who's been bred and brought up like that, shift that mindset to like, no, you can do that. Even though we were told, no, you can't. It's us having that strength to go, do you? If she can do it, you can do it. If he's doing it and you want to do it, do it. There isn't any, you know, I was told all the time, you know, no, you can't do that, sit down. Why? I want to try. You know, and I feel that this statement is very much from the outside more than the in the home. Well, I feel.
The statement of you can't do that, I'm hoping not talking about, oh, you can't do this in life, or you can't do that in life. I mean, it could be, you could be talking about discipline things. No? I was talking about more just in life, like things in general. Black girls don't do that, or, you know, we don't, our culture don't do that. Or we don't swim. But we do. My daughter can swim better than I
That is so true.
I do feel it's more of an outside thing that this label has been. Whereas indoors, maybe it's just an acceptance of the males, or, you know, the family already know that's how it goes, so it's not, we don't get told, but you were strong.
Exactly.
We get told, like,
it's true, it's come from outside. And for some reason, we've taken it on. Don't know how, don't know why, but it's come from outside. And
it's taught behaviour though, isn't it? If you think about what we've
and the songs and all that, and the films we watch, the programs.
Hiya, how do you doing? So affiliated, right?
Another man.
You know.
Introduce yourself. What's your name?
I'm at home, I love all my colours.
I can hold that as well, you know.
So I just obviously very late, but catching the wind of what's been discussed at the end of it, and I can relate in a, I don't know if it's in a unique way, but you touched on a little bit about how we've been raised. And I'm reflecting on my journey, particularly entering into parenthood. I was a young parent, so I remember when So my oldest daughter, she'll be 21 in the new year, and my son will be 19 in August. So when his mum was pregnant with him, so my oldest daughter's not mine biologically, but she's my baby, yeah? So when my son was on the way, it was quite clear that relationship between me and their mum wasn't going to work out. So that kind of came to them before he was even born. And I remember having conversations with my mum, who, by my own confessions, it was my mum's 6th on Saturday morning. I remember giving a speech and telling everybody that growing up, and this is important because it's so in sync with what you're saying. Growing up, my mum was a superhero to me. Like literally inhuman, as you put it. Like you couldn't fault her. It didn't make nothing beyond esteem is all I had for her. It took me to come to adulthood to actually see my mum's human and got flaws. Like literally. And I remember growing up in my mum's household, 5 of us, no real consistent father. Shout out to my younger sibling's father because he was around for a while, good 9-10 years, but majority it was mummy, yeah? And it wasn't just mummy, that was the dynamic across the board. My schooling, my estate, my family, we were matriarchal, 100%, yeah? And the strong black woman thing, as you said, was just the standard. It wasn't even necessarily something we consciously thought about. It just is what it is. So much so that when she was pregnant with my son, and I could see this relationship was going to work out, I automatically assumed, yeah, I'm going to be a baby father, innit? I'm going to pick up my kids on the weekend or whatever. And my mum was the first person to challenge that. And she was like, well, if you know, do you know what I mean? Like, without getting too much in my past business, if you know, as we play, if you know she's not on point, basically, why are you going to leave your children there? You know what I mean? Why do you assume that she's going to be suitable to take care of what needs to be taken care of? And I didn't even think of that before. I was like, oh, wow, like, it's so transpired that I became a single parent for the first 7 years before I got remarried with my children. But the reason why that was such a significant moment was because it was the first time, I was what, 19, 20 at the time, 21 by the time my son was born, that I even considered that. Do you know what I mean? I was fully, I mean, I grew up without a dad, so I've always had that little chip on my shoulder of being very proactive or intending to be in terms of making sure I'm in my children's life and doing what needs to be done by them. But to the extent of, as I said, I had automatic assumptions about certain things. And if I'm honest on reflection, that relationship, apart from it wasn't supposed to be, other than thought it was supposed to produce wonderful babies. Aside from that, I can't pretend that I don't look back and see certain imbalances even with myself, because I expected way more than she was capable of. Like, that's just the real, you know what I mean? Like, and as you said, the archetype is my mum and my aunties and the black women that have raised me. You don't even come anywhere close. Like, no offense. Do you know what I mean? But literally in terms of, and that's because of the way she was raised. Yeah, do you know what I mean? So her mum was a different dynamic and how they were raised from mine. So I'm looking at her like, what's wrong with you? Just acknowledging the dynamic. So that's my reflection on it. But just to bring, I suppose, I don't know if it's to say bring balance to the argument, but just my thoughts are thinking that it's not something you throw the whole baby away with the bathwater though. There's a beauty and a necessity of black women to be strong. Because without you guys, we wouldn't be here. That's a reality. We talk about the story of where we come from. We were the ones who were on the field, killed, You guys actually had to hold down the reality of us. Through the various different transitions of where we've been as a people, whether you want to go back in slavery, we want to talk about Jim Crow, you want to talk about, do you know what I mean? Like, reality is, without you guys having that formidable strength that we can see. So, in other words, I'm saying there's pros and cons to everything. And I'm glad that we're starting to realize the cons in that regard. Do you know what I mean? Especially how it plays out in dynamics in our families, because we're all too familiar. I'm not going to chat forever, I'm going to pass it on. But we can all see the all too common stories, do you know what I mean? Of single parent households, of it not being a balance between men doing what they're supposed to be doing and women feeling like they're, you know, being lifted up and looked after as they should. But I don't want the conversation to go completely as though it's just, you know, wrong for a black woman to be strong, because if it wasn't, we wouldn't be here. There'd be no black race, period.
So do you agree with the statement?
Do I agree with the statement? That's her personal statement. So it's whether it's not necessarily for me to agree or not. Okay. I would, I suppose, if I had a chance to have a conversation with her, I'd want to know what concept she's actually referring to, because it's a completely legitimate statement in itself. But at the same time, like I'm saying, without that strength, it's like where would we be? Because as you said, the reality is that's a learned behaviour, but it's also been survival. Like, that's how you guys have gone on, got great jobs and created wonderful situations and taken care of whole generations of families, while the men then either couldn't or didn't.
But then, is there a reason why we're saying it? Because like you said, our mums, our grandmothers, our great-grandmothers, they were strong, but they weren't, they were just, sorry, they were literally doing it. They weren't shouting it from the rooftops, they were literally just doing the work, doing it.
So what I was going to say, so what was your name, sir?
Oh, Andre, by the way.
Andre, okay. So Andre, at the start, Naomi and Fiona said that they agree wholeheartedly with the statement. So what I was going to say is, if you could direct your comment to them,
to these
then you can have the conversation now.
Yeah, yeah.
And we can move away from the lady on the screen.
Shall I move to the front?
Yeah, I was so sorry. So, because you said that it's from her perspective, and I said, before you came in, for me, it's like from, like we discussed this before you came in, from the outside, how the outside see it is. Because, like I mentioned before, my mum, my grandmother, they were strong women, but they weren't doing, I'm strong, I'm independent, I can do it all by myself. They were just getting on and doing it. We're now going out here, we're saying that I'm strong, I'm independent, I've got this big armor here, so then when we fall down, ain't no one there to pick us up. Right?
My thing in response to that is, like, I don't want to sound too philosophical or cliche, but I'm just going to be real, because this is kind of how I see the world and how I try to operate. And it's that key word called balance. Do you understand? Like, without it, everything is going to be out of sync. Whether you see yourself too strong or see yourself as a constant victim, anyway, like, but the reality is, without balance, and that goes for both male and female, regardless of what we're talking about. And I said I didn't want it to sound as a throwaway comment, but it's actually a fact. You get me? That there is a time when you're going to have to embody and manifest that strength and remember who you represent and what you're here for. But simultaneously, there's a time when you should be able to lean on somebody and be weak and be vulnerable and be needed to be taken care of. That's equally a legitimate part, or should be a legitimate part of your experience. I think one of the things we've highlighted, whether it was said before or not, I'm not sure, but I think in our experience we can all relate to, as you said, when you talk, particularly when you talk about the media, and particularly when you talk about the outside influences on how we see ourselves, that's a key thing. And there's a reason why, as you said, other people can label us, whether they label us as aggressive, sexual deviants as men, or whether they label you guys as strong, aggressive, you know, overly emasculated women. It's because we don't invest enough into identifying and what's the word I'm looking for? We don't invest enough into defining ourselves. You understand? And again, that's a bigger conversation as to why. That's religion, that's history, that's living in a white man's world in this white country with racist things just in the air. Do you know what I mean? Like there's a whole myriad of reasons as to why we allow other people to define how we see ourselves. Because other people can call us what they want. We can call other, without being prejudiced. You know, that we can have our views about other communities and how they stay as much as we like. It doesn't really affect them. It don't affect them. You know, you can say Indian people are mean, we can say Jewish people are this, we can say they're thriving or doing whatever they need to do in their own regard, irrespective of our opinions of them, because they're not in the position we are as being as susceptible to other people's labels. Like I said, there's more reason to that than just the emotion side of it. But for me, the only answer or remedy to that is to kind of go inward and actually really have a real conversation with ourselves as to how we want to define ourselves, why we want to define ourselves as that. And then, because that can only, for me, that's the only way of shielding yourself from that, per se. Do you know what I mean? Like, so if this is, for example, in the corporate experience, in the corporate space, or in the work space, just as an example, and she feels like she often gets picked on or gets dealt with a certain way where her colleagues or her peers of other races or other hues might not necessarily have the same experience. It would be, as you said, a very legitimate statement for her to make that point there, that actually, no, I shouldn't have to defend myself in every board meeting. I shouldn't have to overly, you know, be any way, and I shouldn't have to be overly anything. Do you know what I mean? Like, I should just be able to just be. But until she's kind of had that internal conversation with herself, because as you said, a lot of us are susceptible to these messages. We're susceptible to the independent woman, to the I don't need a man. We're susceptible to our man is foolishness, our black man is foolishness, or the other maybe, and there's a whole bunch on the other side that men have as well. Do you know what I mean? But just addressing the women's side of it, there's a lot of things that we swallow and then embody and then complain about.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, thank you for bringing attention to the balance, because we didn't really touch on that or think about that. I think from our perspective, or I say from my perspective, like, I was kind of reflecting on I'm just tired of always having to be strong. So I don't want to be the, you know, I'm independent and I take care of myself, cool, but I don't want to have to always be strong and be like tense up and, you know, like I just want to relax and just be cool. I don't want to have to always be ready for war. But there are many times where the strength, as you say, is what got me through some serious situations, and I needed that mental or even physical strength to get me through those motions. So yeah, thanks for bringing that to light, because it's true, it's balance, and I guess that we do have balance, but it is like, I am very much tired of wearing that independent woman, I'm strong, like the cape, like I'm done with it. I don't want to be seen as though I have to, or I must take on the world alone, you know? Or like, if something was to be happening to me, even in the street, like there's been videos I've seen where a woman's being attacked and no one's helping her. You know, it's just like, how did we get there where you're going to step over the body on the street and you're seeing someone licking up and you're not going to help her, you know? And then I do put myself like visually or mentally in that space, like, wow, that could be me. What about if that happens to me? What am I going to do? Yeah, I'm strong, but I ain't that strong, you know, to take that on. And see, with social media, we see so much, we're exposed to so much, so it is kind of like, I can't think of the word, but yeah, it's like overload, and you know, to so much content and different scenarios. So yeah, going back to boundaries, Karen, like having my boundaries with social media so I don't take on too much, but there's a lot of content that is scary, and I'm like, gosh, like, how did we get here where a man's going to step over a woman, or seeing her beaten up, or being verbally, physically attacked, or whatever, no one's there to save her? But then it's like the question of, right, okay, well, what part did we play to be perceived that we don't need the help? So yeah, there is the balance, even with taking accountability for it. It is both ways. It's not just on the man stepping over. It's just like, how many times have we told the man we don't need you? Or not even said it, like just given the look, like, who are you? You know? So yeah, it's there's accountability. Get my words out. Accountability on both sides. It's deep.
Quick question, because you touched on social media and content. Has anyone here seen the video recently that's been circulated, sort of like a mass murder thing in Kenya or something like that? Morocco. You've seen it? Anyone else see it?
Yeah.
You've seen it?
Oh yes.
You've seen it?
With the police and they...
I just saw lots of bodies.
Yeah.
That got sent to me. That got sent to me by many different people.
Yeah.
And I haven't watched it.
Okay.
I refused to watch it. And this is what I was saying to you about, because they sent a disclaimer at the start saying what it was going to be, and I thought to myself,
not all the messages I received came with a disclaimer.
The video
just, I went into the message and the video just played.
I've chosen not to watch it because I couldn't work out what it was going to do positively for me.
No, you're right.
I do want to see it, but I don't want to see it.
Are you in your own time?
No, I'm not going to watch it.
It's horrible.
I'm not going to watch it. It's like my cousin died the other day, and they opened the casket, and I said, I'm not going up there. Because I don't. That's how I'm going to remember him. And I don't want to do that. And in my mind, he's still somewhere out there. I don't want to see him. That's just how I dealt with it. And that might be going back to your questions of how you deal with things. And I don't even know that I'm doing it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Being
So,
aware of it.
yeah.
I was thinking the word maybe it's decentered. The word being desensitized.
That's the word I come from.
Do you know what I mean? You're overwhelmed with so much
Yeah,
information
100%.
that you're constantly getting dead bodies to the point where now you're just like, oh, it's another dead body. No, that's not human. That's not what we're about. That's not how we started. So you're right. Like even the whole, I'm going back, but George Floyd. I never saw the video, never watched it, not one. People like, really? But you should know what's going on.
Desensitized. Yeah.
We don't have to see everything. We don't have to see everything.
You have to be conscious to go, okay, enough's enough. Even hearing it, your imagination will take it to another place. But stay sensitive, because otherwise you will be walking zombies, because just information.
100%. During lockdown, like, oh my gosh, the amount of things that were going off in all the content that was being passed around. I was militant. I just became militant. I wanted to fight everybody. And it was because I was just seeing too much brutality being enforced on us. And I went through a few months of being militant. I was militant on my socials, anyone I was just like, don't come for me, fam, because it'll be on. Anyone that I cussed so many people out. I told them about their BCs and everything, and I was just like, I've got zero tolerance. I'm not masking nothing over. You're gonna come to me, I'm gonna give it to you raw. I'm in that raw element. I'm gonna give it to you raw. I don't care if you can't take it. I don't care. Who are you?
But I don't think you're the only one.
Yeah, there was a lot of us.
And I think it's because we were cooped up. we were locked up
on the phone, seeing all these videos.
We've seen all the videos, and sometimes a lot of it with the media, they know what they are doing.
100%.
Because they're doing this and they're feeding off our emotion. So we're not getting emotional, and we're not looking at the bigger picture and seeing what actually is going on. That's what's happening. That's
moment when I realised that, okay, I get it. Like, you've had me here as a puppet for so long.
It's a game of chess. They're just playing a game of chess. And they're always that extra step ahead of us.
You took the words out of my mouth. No, you took the words out of my mouth in the sense that not even just lockdown, like you said, even prior to lockdown with the whole, because George Floyd was, I don't know, like maybe the 15th, 20th example of something we saw, that there was a time, particularly on social media, where every day you saw some mad visuals of police violating your people in this modern age. You get me? Like literally violating them, like not like we might as well be in Jim Crow. Do you know what I mean? Like literally seeing dogs maul people, seeing grown big white men punching up women, like all kinds of crazy things. Do you know what I mean? Like that naturally is designed to trigger you. Do you know what I mean? Like it's designed to trigger you, and it's about again knowing yourself and knowing what you are subscribing to and what you're allowing into your psyche. And it's not even just on the extreme, because you guys are talking about, as you said, like traumatic experiences, seeing people dead, seeing the whole Morocco thing. We have to be conscious right down to, do you know what I thought you was going to mention when you said, has anybody seen it? I'm sure you've all seen it, the viral video of the stupidness of the woman cussing about the McDonald's.
Yes, oh Lord, yes.
That's almost like, if it was a chart, that'd be #1 at the moment. Do you know what I mean? Like in terms of toxic, viral stuff that's going on in our community. You get me? That's designed to trigger. It's designed to trigger and to create divisive conversation. Oh, you're not aware of it? Right. So there's a video.
I'm militant right
now. There's a video going around of a lady who allegedly, I say allegedly because for me, half of these people could be crisis actors. I don't take it on. You get me? But there's some lady, black woman, and she's cussing and filming her child's dad pulling up to the house, and she's saying, I bet he's only got McDonald's for one of their children. He's only got one child with her. So she's going off saying that you can't bring food for just one child when you know there's various siblings here. There's some merit to what she's saying, but it's how she's saying it and how she goes about dealing with the man. That's why it's gone viral. Do you know what I mean? Like, because she's going off. She's as ratchet and ghetto and as noisy and as silly as can be. And his response is like, what are you talking about? I've got one child with you. I don't mean you to treat that. What you bothering me for? Kind of thing. You get me? Like, but the exchange is just trivial, toxic, immature nonsense. You get me?
100%.
But it's gone viral. It's only gone viral because we're in this climate. You know what I mean? Like when social media has such a hold on people's lives, which is a result of lockdown as well. You know what I mean? Where little stuff that you literally should just scroll past, like pay zero attention to, is having big old debates, big old beefs online with people. You're blocking people, you're cussing people. Do you know what I mean? Stupidness. Like,
and the reality why did you feel the need to feel that? Why
down
did
to
you see
down to Love Island. It's the same thing. Do you know what I mean? But this is what I'm saying. So I deliberately highlighted it.
Not involved.
Because this, neither mind. But this is the reason I highlighted it, because yes, we can talk about the extreme examples. We can all relate to the extreme examples. They're extreme for a reason. Do you know what I mean? You cannot ignore them, or you have to ignore them. One of the two. Like, you have to somewhat filter it out, or just deal with what's coming on the screen. But we have to be conscious about the influence, and the only thing I would say is this: I think most of us are of a slightly older generation before social media is what it is. So we can sometimes be less than, if I use the word, sensitive to the real impact of it. Like, we can recognize it in our own space and our own time, but our children born and grown in that. So when you see crazy behaviors or crazy mindsets and crazy theories or topics that you think, well, where did that come from? But it's prevalent and it's strong, and there's people saying it with their chest on a camera. You got to understand what that is. Do you know what I mean? Literally, they were born and grown in nonsense. Like, and as you said, it wasn't accidental. It's deliberate. So if you don't take the time out to be like, propaganda is real. Like, I'll end my point on this. For me, in our experience of, I don't know, humanity history so far, we've had certain eras in it, certain ages as to what to rule things. You know, you have the technology age, you have the age of whatever they want to call it, religion, the dark ages, whatever. You get me? Right now, social media is the most influential religion. Period. Media in itself has been the most influential thing for, I'd say, I don't know, for as long as for the most majority of my life. I'm 40 in January. But of late, especially as I said, as a result of lockdown on top, social media is as effectual as any drug or any religion in how it's affecting people's minds and how they see the world. So you have to be conscious about how you deal with it and how you feel with it.
100%. Definitely, totally agree with that. Wow, we've covered a lot, peeps.
That's just the first half.
I know, this is just the first half. Okay, so yeah, thank you for your contributions. We're going to go for the 50-minute break. Have some music, you want to order a drink, grab yourself a drink, and then then we're going to go into
we'll get back into going to the second topic,
so it's just going to be interesting, totally different.
Yeah,
totally different. Okay, so welcome back, people.
Hey.
And a big clap for yourselves as well. I think I'm going to let Fiona introduce this second half.
Why?
Because you introduce it well. She
Why?
introduces it well.
I introduced the first half thing.
Sounds like a cop out to me. Sounds like a cop out to me. That means it's naughty.
Let's go. I've got this, right? Yeah. Alright, so.
You sure? Let me start.
No! Right, okay.
I'm not known her lost for words. This is the first time I've known her. Right, okay, ladies. Right, for the second half, right, the topic is we're going to get. Why are people giving me side eye?
Let me get a sound effect ready.
The question is.
It's going to be naughty.
When you maybe when you're getting to know somebody, you're entering into a relationship. Some people say they want to wait before they have sex, but then you can wait before you have the sex. You then have sex, and it turns out not to be as good as you wanted, as you expected it to be. What do you do in that situation? What was that? And we just had a comment saying useless at the back. So yeah, in that situation, what do you do? Because you've got a bond with this person now. You've got to know each other on not a physical level, but like on an emotional level, an intellectual level. Now it's come to the physical, and you're like, wow, there's no connection there now. Do I continue and work on it and teach him or teach her like a school book, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H? Or do you just say, you know what? Yeah, I just think, you know, it's... What would you do? What would you do, Nate? What would I do? What would you do, Nate?
What, if the sex as well?
Yeah.
Okay, so... Auntie, don't give me that face. Be nice, please. Okay, so what would I do? What have I done?
I think Auntie Abby needs to
She's fine. She was on the Monday. No, she was on Monday's Instagram live.
Yes.
Should I answer for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
So would you, in that situation then, cousin, sister, friend, would you stay with that person and work with it, help that person to work with it, or would you just?
Alright, I'm just going to be straight up no.
Any reason why no? Why would you say no? Because you're connected on the emotional, intellectual.
Okay. Alright. Okay. So alright. Me now, maybe I'll work a little bit more and exchange words and have a conversation. Have a conversation.
Boss is in like that. What was that? I'm a strong black woman. I need more than that.
Oh, sorry.
Alright, so, okay, me now, I would, yeah, like have a conversation and bring it to light, like, maybe you need to try this, or maybe we should try this, and have a conversation about how we can work to make it better. However, why was this donkey there? Like, there's only so much or so far I will go with the conversation, because I don't want to be like...
So much patience.
Yeah.
You know what? We're skirting around the edges. I want to know what was wrong with the moment.
Oh Lord.
It depends though, isn't it?
It depends what the issue is.
Yeah, there's been, in the past there's been various issues.
Are you saying, I'm going to be real, are you saying he came too soon or something like that? Let's be adult now. What was wrong?
He wasn't doing certain things. I was just like, okay, like I fancy you, and yeah, we're horny. However, you're not getting me
So it's like
to a certain destination. And
come on, mate, don't be shy. Why you being shy? Because when we're on Instagram Live, you ain't shy. You talk the things.
Okay, so this is the first time.
Auntie's just staring at my face.
Auntie, don't worry. Just stay there. So this is the first time you got with him. So sometimes the first time may not be that good.
right, I'll say, okay, me. All right, and this is why, like, my first reaction was no, because back in the day there was a situation where it was just like, nah. And it was just like, get off me, go and get me a hot water bottle, we're done. I went to sleep, I woke up and I went home.
Did you watch Coronation Street?
What? No!
Coronation Street. Why is that what happened up there? So yeah, that was a moment back in the day that happened, and I just had zero tolerance, and there was a lot of other stuff to go with the story. I didn't just yeah, you know, it's not like I didn't say anything at all. There was a lot of other stuff in his behaviour and lies, and I was just like, no, I ain't dealing with this, with all your bull. Yeah. It was just like, no, like, you can't, you're not equipped, like, you're not doing nothing for me, so what am I staying for? Like, you're full of crap.
Your sister asked me to ask you a question.
Oh Lord, Natasha.
How would you, okay.
Okay, Natasha Louise Gray, what have you got to say for yourself?
Full name and
date of birth, sort code, account number. She said,
Oh, we're going there, yeah.
date of birth. She asked me to ask you, how would you bring it into the conversation to tell him that it wasn't good? How would you broach the subject?
Okay, how would I would be direct, like I have been direct, like to say, oh, you know, because like in our certain questions, like, oh, you haven't come yet, and I'm like, oh, but if you used to do this, then, you know, or I like this, or if we tried this, or you're open to this, you know, and like to broaden his mind, and to, and you know, to make it, to like have an open conversation, like what are you open to?
So what was his response? No. Okay. In that case, he has to go.
yeah.
Lies. But yeah, it was just like, yeah, like, yes, we're not gonna get anywhere. You know, it's just like yeah, I'm having an open conversation and it's just closed. You know? So, and like the chemistry, like how we got on, like we was totally cool, you know? But when it came to that, it was just like, oh, okay, like we can only go so far. And I'm not down for that. I'm not down for that. Because you're expecting a lot more from me than what you're willing to give. So nope. Again and again.
Fiona.
Yes, Fiona Hammond.
What is it with you and the whole name? That's no drink.
So pure water.
Alright. Your mum is not here.
Bring Auntie forward, like I want to stare straight in the face. You're still sipping?
Yeah, I'm still sipping, I'm still sipping.
Tell the truth.
The whole truth and nothing but the truth.
So help you, sisters.
Yeah, don't know. I think, like Naomi, back in the day when I was, I'm gonna say my 20s, I would literally.
Did you know she was doing it when she was You bring the belt? You're taking off the belt?
I just put the belt in.
Yeah, literally. I would. My response literally would be, get off.
With that face?
Yeah, with that face. It literally would be, is that it? Get off. That would be. But that was then. That was then. Now,
suppose he said round two's coming. Round two's coming. That's round one. Suppose he said round two's coming.
And it's
so repeat that again.
Suppose she said like, is that it? Get off. That was round. Supposing that was round one, and there was another round to come.
Yeah, but then you have to be like. But then you have to be honest with yourself. Like, do you want to experience that again?
Yeah, because I've been once. I don't do it again.
Like sometimes you don't want to experience the same thing again. Like that's all you got, then get off. Bye.
Because it could be the case. You could like this all different situation, but it can be the case like you said. The person comes too quick. Two. They're just in a one-trick pony. Bam, 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 bam. Boring. No, get off.
Don't want to do this anymore.
Get off me.
But then
but now, I would show, like Naomi said, I would
flip him over.
Get off, please.
I'll put some respect on it. Please get off me now, please. And thank you.
With a different face.
Yeah, and I smile when I say it. Yeah, I'll smile like this. Thank you. Thanks. Bye.
That means she wasn't
Wow.
Oh my gosh, my head is hurting.
But now so it's about, because you would have built up that emotional bond, connected emotionally and intellectually as well, so you've got that bond there. So for me, if it came to that and it turned out it wasn't as great as I wanted it to be, then like Naomi said, just speak, talk about what you like. And that person should be willing to listen and to be open. And because in that situation you're wanting to please each other, not just yourself. Anybody want the mic?
I know you want to chip in.
Anybody want the mic?
Wow, dude.
Oh, wow.
Oh my goodness, as he sits.
Excuse me.
Here we go. Okay. Let's go in.
Sorry. Eat your food, baby. Eat your food.
Not in the video.
Okay, so. I just want to facilitate the conversation, yeah? So, I think, question first and foremost, because are we talking about somebody you're, as you said, somewhat invested in terms of a relationship, or is this just a sexual encounter?
This is someone that you are hoping to invest in, so it's someone you're getting to know, not just sexual, someone you're getting to know.
So
the reason why I said that is because you can get women that go into a relationship and say, you know what, no, I don't want, I'm not having no sex for like 6 months or 9 months. You get to that and you wait and you get to that and you're like,
yeah.
Then what have you done?
It's the same men.
Men as well, yeah, exactly.
So for me to answer the question is, if I was in that situation, for me, I think it depends on what you want and what turns you on, what you find sexually alluring. Do you know what I mean? In the sense that, for me, a big part of that exchange is the unspoken, the intuition, the kind of being in sync. Do you know what I mean? Like, you like what I like, I like what you like, without me being able to tell you that is a big thing for me. So, if I've started with somebody and it's not giving, yeah. I think, I don't know, I might sound slightly sexist when I say this, but it's just true. I think,
go ahead.
I'll go right ahead. I think as a man, and as the masculine in the scenario, you tend to be an initiator, you tend to be someone that kind of sets pace a little bit. Disclaimer, set the pace, baby, I love that, but that's what I'm saying. That's like just what's expected 9 times out of 10, and I think what's quite natural for myself. I'm sweet for myself then, yeah. As a man, I'm quite forthright with what I want and what I want to see take place, or what I want to happen. And if it's not, as I said, if I'm not getting what I feel like is needed in reciprocal, I think it's one of the things I did want to highlight, right? Because women have this conversation amongst yourselves all the time. Yeah, men don't really talk about this stuff, like not that deeply anyway. Like, but one of the things that I've noted is that no. wait, all right. No shots fired. Yeah. So if you get triggered, just own it. Don't bring it to me. Yeah. Don't just do it in your own space, in your own time, or with your partner. Yeah. But a lot of women have an overestimation of their sexual prowess. And I think a lot of that is down to, again, influences from the outside, the music, the porn, whatever else. Man, pussy, whatever. And a lot of the time, you just might be average, babe. You know what I mean? Like, or you know, not all that. And it's a very difficult conversation. Come on, man, where's the sound effect? Back me up, yeah? So the two of us here, bro. Come on, bro. Yeah? A lot of the time.
What are you doing? Because he said. I agree with some of what he said.
some of it. The reality is, a lot of the time, it's a very difficult conversation to broach with women. You know, like, as you guys have been openly saying on the bench, no, I want to cut up of it, I'll take it off me. Let's be honest, can I reverse the question? If you had sex with a man for the first time and he was like, nah, get off me, sorry, you'd be crushed. For most of them, right?
Yeah.
Men have to deal with that type of rejection as standard. You know what I mean? Whether they got it right or wrong, whether even it's just in the approach of meeting somebody. Yeah. So the reality of a woman's ego versus her actual sexual, whatever you want to call it, can sometimes be a disparity. Yeah? And for men, it's a minefield in navigating that, in actually how you communicate with them. Yeah. So for me personally, I try to be quite transparent, but as I said, I tend to, if I use the word filter, if it sounds a bit insensitive, but for sake of the argument, yeah. I'm about what's given, what's in sync. If we're both getting what we need to get, wonderful, let's build on this. You know what I mean? If we're not, and it's especially early doors in a relationship, then I think it would really depend on how deep the other connection is. Like you said, whether it's emotional, whether it's intellectual, and how I gauge her ability to navigate between her ego and reality. You know what I mean? Like, can I speak to you about the real comfortably? Can I be my full transparent self about what's going on between us sexually, and have that conversation? And to be honest, I think that's something I tend to gauge long before we actually start having sex. Personally, anyway. But I'll end it there. But a lot of women, just saying, a lot of women have that. A lot of women, no, real talk. A lot of women have this. And like I said, I think it's from outside influences a lot of the time. You know what I mean? Like, girls will big up their girls. Yeah, man, you're hot. No, she's not. You know what I mean? Like, she's not. Yeah, they look good. No, she doesn't. And that's the dynamic men don't have. I'm being so real. Women light each other up.
No, if you're a true friend, I know I'm real, but if you're a true friend, if it don't look right, if you, I'm saying, you know what?
You need a good friend.
You need a good friend. You know, fix that up or
Yes.
Keep it real. Don't be that. They were like, yeah, you look good, baby, look good, baby. This time you know she looks shit and you look hot because you want to. No.
Yep. So I'll pass it on now before I get shot.
Anyone else on the floor?
One thing I would say is in what you were saying there in regards to a lot of women thinking that, look, I was at the influence or to me to think they've got that whack, all of that. For me, my generation and who I hang around with ain't like that. That's what I would say. We're around the generation where the man them is like that. The man would say that and big themselves up. That's where I'm from. And then when you come with that big talk, ain't no backative or nothing to back up that chat, then and I say something to you, just the one time, me take the tie. No.
I think big talk is a big red flag anyway.
Exactly.
Male or female.
Exactly.
It really is. So off-putting.
Walk in silence.
Hey.
Yes. Yes.
So, exactly what you said in regards to the influences, and I guess it does depend on your generation as well. So, my generation is the R&B. So it's all about love and the romanticize. And so, what I learned, in a way, in a hard way, is that in the gossip, you don't live that life. You don't live that whole, rolling up the flowers all the time. 24/7. For flowers every day. So, but in my head, that's what So, what I would say right now to that question about meeting somebody and getting to know them, etc., from the get-go, it's got to be a conversation. Like we just have to be adults about that. Where are you sexually? What is that about? What do you expect? What are your fantasies? What is that's just, it has to be standard. Whether you're going to get embarrassed or not, ultimately you're going to get to that point, right? Or are you not that sexually like that? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, there's some people that are like, sex is not really my thing. So is that person okay with that?
You know, oh yeah, I'll do it, but just know that's not, you know, I'm more into your mind. When you speak to me, that turns me on more than us laying down in the bed and go on and, you know, he might But it's true though, right? Like, there's different turn-ons with different people, so it's, again, conversation from the get-go. We have to be adult about that. Yeah, I'm just speaking from my experience in regards to, I was like proper roses. I was floating. I wanted to be like, and that was a conversation with somebody that turned around and said, okay, let's talk.
I was going to ask a question, was it gone? But in saying that, having that conversation of what you like and da-da-da, I think you alluded to it before, sometimes it's best not to have the conversation and let it happen naturally. Because you don't say, I like it when you do this and then you do that. So it becomes like a prescription.
I totally agree with you in that moment, I guess. That can be a turn off for some people. Like, can you just shush? I'm trying to concentrate. But do you get what I'm saying? But I'm talking about those conversations before that, because there are people that, you know, it's a 6 month standard, nothing's going to happen before then, and then you get in the bed and then it's like, that's where your trouble is. So what I'm saying is, it's those conversations from the get-go. Like, you really have to be adultish about it. I feel like, as much as you might have lots of fantasies going on in your head and, oh, it's going to be like this and that perception, right, or you expect expectation, no, what is that conversation? So it doesn't necessarily have to be detailed like that, but just know what they're about. When it comes to sex, like, I loved your talk on Monday because it was that whole like, oh, I want to try, I want to go to that. I'm deadly serious. And I suppose my partner was like, just to experience it.
Carol, just order the robe. Just order the robe.
Just order the robe, man.
Order the robe.
Yeah. Trust me, just get the robe, man. Order the robe. Naturally, natural fibers. No man-made. Natural fibers. Great.
As you come back here in 2 months' time, he's gone. Question. Can I throw a question?
Yeah.
Ladies, the making, because it's normally a woman that says it. Sorry, I'm going to put it out there. I'll put my own sound effects on. But this whole thing about I need to wait for blah amount of time, is that something to do with whether it's going to be a relationship, a proper relationship, or, you know, because when I was younger I used to think, yeah, if she made me wait, then it's proper. If it was quick, then it's not. And is that something that you agree with, disagree with?
I hate that.
Yeah, it's not something.
I'm going to let you speak though first.
I would say, I don't agree with that. It's the feeling, you go with the feeling that you have with that person. And when it feels right, if you're in sync, like you said, you have to be in sync and in tune, and for me, it will happen naturally. Putting a time on it,
a date and
a date and a time. Right, okay, so in 3 months,
Just makes
it makes it very, very awkward. It comes to the no. I've never been a stickler for that.
That could be why it doesn't work out right, because there's a lot of pressure on it.
Yeah, all that pressure, all the emphasis.
There is a lot of pressure, and not saying it's happened to everyone, you know, because there have been, and there still is, successful relationships where they've waited, but then there's many where they've waited and then they've got to that point and then the man's gone. He waited to get the peace and then he's gone, you know, so it's just like.
And men can be very patient when it comes to things like
that.
Yeah,
very patient.
Especially when they you're going to get it anyway.
Yeah, they will stick around.
Whatever they need to do,
they will stick around.
You're going to do it. Am I right or am I wrong?
If it's worth it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you won't know until it's worth it until you get it.
Exactly. Can I just say though, pressure is the word, and that's why I don't like that timing.
Yeah.
Because there's so much pressure on you. For me, I was just like, we're gonna do it, and then it's better to just get out of the way and just see it, and then we take it from there, and then have a conversation. But anyway, pressure is definitely.
Yeah, in terms of the timing thing, I think there's some merit to it, but it's similarly quite trivial, or do you know what I mean? Dependent. I think for me, everything's kind of based on what you want as an individual and what's compatible with who you're dealing with. Do you know what I mean? So if you know you want longevity, you want stability, you want something that's sustainable, then you tend to naturally be more inclined to wait on the sexual side of things. Let me just talk for myself. Especially if you've been there, done that. You've had the experience of the hot and heavy, and oh my god, we met each other, and it's do you know what I mean? Like, and then 3 months down the line, you're like, what have I done with this mad woman? Do you know that kind of thing? Like, what are we gonna do now? I think, yeah, trust me. But because without getting too cliche with it, you know, soul ties and these things are a real thing. Do you know what I mean? When you start having sex with somebody, there's connections you might not want before. Yeah. So it's a balancing act again, isn't it? It's about, are we compatible beyond the sex? If we want beyond the sex, you know what I mean? If all we want to do is hook up, beat the place down, then you can have those conversations on the jump. You know what I mean? Like, what you like? What me like? When we do this, you know, that kind of thing, like, or not kind of thing. I think times have changed, attitudes have changed with ages, especially amongst women in regards to sex and sexual liberty and being on an equal playing field about how they view sex and view themselves in that regard. Because a lot of the things I've learned, especially, one of the things this is another question now, I'll throw this out to the audience, yeah? So there's more of you than us, yeah, you don't answer questions, yeah? I want to ask the question about, and I don't know if it's, in fact, I do know from my experience, age is a factor. Maturity, rather than age, is a factor. But even maturity or age aside, I've experienced or spoken to a lot of women about the fact that they sometimes have a reservation about being how nasty and freaky and sexual they actually really want to be, even with their partner, especially with their partner, in fact. They might talk to the guy that they're just gonna lie down with, you know, like, and keep it real, or with their female friends, whatever. But with the person they want to build a home, have children, you know, meet the parents, they tend to, and this is even in my own experience, you know what I mean? Like, it might be years before she lets certain things slip. You're like, what? You've been together for 7 years, and all of a sudden you just want that. Like, why do you tell me you're gonna jump? Like, see, the laugh is confirmation. Anyway, the question is, in your own experience of this, ladies, whether in your own life or your peers, what is your experience of that? The versus, this is what I like, this is what I want, this is what I fantasize about, this is what I sneakily flip it into. You understand? Versus, we're hearing it. Versus how much you're going to be open about that from the jump. Because I think it's a confidence thing as well, and it's also about how you want the other person to perceive you. So I'll leave it there.
I'll go first. So back in the day, I was a lot more reserved, and I wouldn't show, or I didn't know my true self. I was still understanding who I was, what I liked, and learning and exploring. But then me now, I'm a lot more confident and open.
Come here, young man.
What?
Come here, young man. I want you. Is that what you sorry? That's what your voice is just making. No. Before she was like, hi, she's like, come here. Yeah, you.
Are you me one?
Are you, that's the one, yeah.
Are you me one? You know how long I want you a long time.
But I'm a lot more confident. I know who I am. I'm still learning, you know, because I don't profess to know it all. But I'm a lot more confident to speak up. So I don't care what you're going to think of me. you know, like I know myself. I'm confident in myself. I understand myself. So I don't care to what, like, the perceptions or anything. I'm like, you know, I'm going to say what it is that's true for me. And yeah, like, are we on the same page? Yeah, like, are we on the same page? Because if you don't go there, if you don't break that ice and, you know, go to that kind of like sensitive kind of area, or you'll potentially lay down with someone that you're not really in tune with, you know, because you're still holding whatever percentage of yourself back. So yeah, I am a lot more open and confident, and I enjoy being like this. Yeah.
Go girl.
Go girl.
Fiona out and bad, can't tell. I said Fiona out and bad, can't tell. I'm just the host.
To what you were saying, it depends on the individual. It might take a while to break the guard down. Each year you might see something else.
Yeah.
7.
No, it doesn't matter. It depends on the individual. To break your guard down, it might take for another year for her to say, get the chair, put it on 2 legs, turn it upside down.
Which 2 legs? The back 2?
I think it's having the confidence to keep breaking the guard down and having new influence.
Next time you come back, if I broke my back.
I hear that. I hear that. But big capital BUT, yeah? This is why I go back to compatibility. Because for some men, that's torture, that's long. I'm being real. For some man, especially if he's experienced and he knows what he likes, and he's used to getting what he likes, and you're playing Miss Frigid for 7, 8, 9 years, you know what I mean? Like, that might not be his cup of tea fully. You know what I mean? So it's about, I should say, compatibility. If you have the kind of man who likes to play that slow, I mean, years sound to me, I'm just speaking for myself, years. You know, like, it might be, do you know what I mean? Yeah, it might be a gradual process. And I think that's somewhat natural, but saying that at the same time, I can reflect on experiences where it's been all out and bad from the jump. And yeah. I can't pretend like it wasn't enjoyable. Do you understand that? I'm not going to pretend like I had a preference for, no, man, you should have maybe waited 3 years for this. Like, no, baby, thumbs up, well done. Yeah. Cheers.
Yeah, but as you were saying before, men normally instigate.
Yes.
So some men will not like it for a woman. You say not now.
Not now.
We'll come back to the chair. Yeah. So some men may feel threatened from the beginning if a lady is that forward. I think, like, just having a conversation with somebody. When you first meet someone, like today, I will talk to you
Okay.
how you doing, and ask your name. But next time I meet you, the conversation is going to be deeper.
Yeah.
And again and again.
Yeah.
So the same thing like having sex. The first time, and then second time. So it's like a body conversation. That's what I was going to say.
Alright, okay. Alright, so going over what you just said to the two men then in the room. Like, how do you feel when, like what's your reaction to a woman initiating? Like,
Come here, baby, now. Come here, baby.
Come here.
Come here, baby.
No problem with it. No problem with it. No problem with it. No.
I'll go on further.
I'm going to go over there and play something.
Yeah, do that.
Get ready. 3, 2, 1. Come on. For me, personally, I need that. That's got to be a part of the mix. That's got to be a part of the makeup. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I need to feel desired too. I need to feel that I want to see that hunger in your eyes, and do you know what I mean? Like that's just me personally. Some men just might be slightly intimidated by that or not used to that. And just like everything else, when we talked about the things we kind of carry into relationships, i.e. the way we were raised, the ideologies we had, that plays out in sex just as much as anything else. You get me? But the irony about sex for me anyway is that because sex is such an organic thing, that actually, yes, there's a part in your mental that plays a part in it, of course, especially more so for women than men. But it's the body, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? And it's the hormones and it's the reactions to each other's stimulus, yeah? And oftentimes, again, in my experience, somebody in their head might say to something, and then they've experienced like, oh, I didn't know that I'd actually like that. Do you know what I mean? That kind of thing. Like, so, for me, as I said, just speaking for myself, that's a necessary part to the puzzle. Like, if it's always me initiating, if it's always me trying to push boundaries, or always me trying to, you know, keep the fire burning. Is that a ladies ready to fire this? You understand? Fire,
I'd like to add to that. You're right in regards to like there's loads of different pieces to the puzzle. Everybody's an individual. It depends on that person that you're, because it could be something different with somebody else, right? But going back to your point as well, sorry, I don't know your name. Marcia. Just the flip side, I always think of it's the cards. It's getting me into this bigger picture, and but you're saying like take time with that with her, right? So 1 year it might be the chair. It goes on. Yeah. But I think we as females also have a responsibility to coming back to Naomi's point of knowing myself. Because when you're confident within yourself, you are more open. It may be at the beginning that's not me. When you're comfortable with that person and you're comfortable with yourself, the next year it might even be just screw the chair, just turn me upside down. Do you get what I'm saying? But it's that conversation. So there's so many different pieces that comes to it. There isn't one. Do you know what I mean? Like you can't say 6 months and then everything's going to be okay. You can't say even what I said in regards to the conversations at the beginning. I'm not saying like the first date or anything like that, but as you're getting to know each other, you can't say, oh, well, do you like this? Do you like that? Again, it's that back and forth seeing, but grounded in yourself first and foremost. And same with him. You know, men, as far as I'm concerned, and it might sound sexist this time, but they always go like, I'm a man, innit? I know the thing. I deal with the thing. Okay, but really, but then it comes back to that same thing of, but so if I step to you a certain way, a lot of them are, see you next week, innit? So again, I just wanted to touch on all the points. Like, yes, it is about pieces. Yes, it is about balance. Yes, it is about taking your time. Yes, it is about knowing yourself. And I think that for me, that's the most important thing.
Because within that, like, I know there's certain things that I'm like, nah, I ain't doing that. I don't like that. So don't even ask me if you're into that. Like, nah, you know. But then there's other areas where it's like, oh, okay, no, open, and we can talk about that. But the thing is, it's like it's not always going to be the same. Like, I'm confident, however, the longer that I'm with someone, it's just like, we'll be building, we'll be exploring, and there'll be new things, and there'll be more new things.
I'm all right.
Sister, you just sitting there laughing. I know you've got something to say.
Look,
yes, Natasha.
Three ladies for
Naomi, ask your sister a pointed question.
I love you.
You're not holding the mic.
You hold it for
You want me to hold it for you? See, in the bedroom, it's important for the woman to know how to handle the mic.
Okay.
What's your question?
Alright, so question. Yeah, like, let's go back to the question, what's your view on the waiting? You know, like, because people, like, it's funny the use of language, because there's a lot of people who say, oh, the waiting game. And I've always had an issue with, why are you saying it's a game? Like, what's the mind play behind this? Like, why is it a game? You know, like, you're waiting or you're not. You know, so why does it have to be a game? So, but yeah, anyway, for me elaborating.
No,
but yeah,
I
know, music that's the mic to Auntie Ivy. Well, what's your view on waiting?
It's not working. I just think
Would you wait?
Yeah,
I think it depends on the individual and the people who are involved in it. So I'd say the chemistry. However, I think most women know, as soon as you let it go, there's like something happens, and the relationship, depending how you view how you want the relationship to go, as soon as you give it up and let it go, then something happens, or you change yourself, and the relationship or the development of something you want kind of goes a different direction.
Then is that because you haven't had that conversation with that person to find out where you want the relationship to go?
About myself, I'm just
no, not generally. You haven't had that conversation.
Yeah, because
you've given that man, you've given that person too much information, which is something that we spoke about last time. You've told them too much about what you're expecting, so they're giving you what you expect until they get what they want, and then they've gone.
Yeah. And then it goes back to also us being accountable for who we're choosing to be with, who we're choosing to be with.
Accountability.
I'm like, because for years I was like playing the victim and being like, why is this happening to me? Why am I always finding this guy with and they don't want me? I just want to be loved and But then I got to a point and I was like, no, I chose him. I chose him, and then it was my last serious relationship where, like, I broke up with him just before I turned 30 because I was like, I'm not taking this into my 30s. And I spent a good part of my 30s just like breaking myself down to crumbs and being like, I've got daddy issues. I've got some serious issues. I've got some real internal issues, like, and understanding what they are, where they came from, and understanding my triggers, you know, and learning about myself and being like, oh, I chose this guy because of this, like the certain things that I'm familiar with my upbringing, like, oh, okay, it's very twisted, but this is the reason why I'm attracted to these things. So then I have to unlearn that, and then learning how to unlearn that. It was like a whole explosion going off in my brain. But the power in taking accountability It's huge. It's huge. And I will do that till the day that I die, is take accountability. And yeah,
I think one thing as well, accountability is listening, the art of listening. And I think I said this the other day, to listen is silent misspelt. Yeah. To listen, you have to be silent. As women, as women, we don't listen to what that man is telling us. We're picking up on what we want to hear. That man could be telling us, he don't want no long-term relationship, you know, babe. He just want one thing. That's all in my look. But in our head, we're thinking, well, I've told this man that I like a man that brings me flowers, he takes me out. So what's he going to do? He's going to bring you flowers, he's going to take you out because he wants that one thing. Once he gets that one thing, man's gone, and you're thinking, well, why is the man gone? Because I told you, that, what have I done? All you did was listen to what you wanted to hear. All along, that man has been saying to you, he's not into anything, he's not ready. But you're thinking, he's not ready right now, but he might be.
Yeah, he may be.
It might be done, it might not. No, he's told you he's not ready, which means he ain't ready. So why are you going to try and change that? What are you whispering about? What's the whispering going on over there for?
I said, I thought you were going to say, well, once you give it to him, it's going to be so good that he's going to stay.
There's that side as well. There is that side as well, but then sometimes you realise that that's all that you have. It's like, okay, we have good sex, is that it?
Literally. Can I just ask though, is it something within our culture, from outside, their relationship was based on a one-night stand, and they're still together for quite a long time. So how comes it's like, it's one thing for us and a different thing?
That's a very good question.
I'm just putting it out there.
I've spoken to people with different backgrounds and everything, and we all go through the same stuff. Same stuff. As couples, I think. But yeah, so I'm sure there must be someone out there that's had a one-night stand that look like us and still together.
Yeah, I think that one's quite subjective to me. I won't weigh in on that. But one of the things that I wanted to say, kind of just highlighting or elaborating on something that was said, I think from the front, was about women hearing what they want to hear as opposed to actually what's being displayed. Because for me, it goes both ways. Men are visually stimulated, women is what they hear. You understand? Yeah. And oftentimes, like, in maturity, I've had to learn to look beyond what I see, or beyond what I like about what I see, to really gauge where someone's at or whether they're compatible for me. Because it's even sometimes just taking the judgment of it. It's not whether they're good or bad, it's do they fit what I'm about right now? You get me? And on the flip side, it's about not just what he said, but what you've perceived. You know, like, are you actually being objective in analysing this person that's in front of you just because, you know, the nipples get hard, or, you know, he says the right things that turn you on a certain way? Do you actually go beyond that point to, and this is where that whole conversation about waiting or giving some space before you jump into the sexual space has a lot of merit, you know what I mean? Because, like you said, great sex can be great and can be great for a time, you know what I mean? Or can be great and very toxic as well, you know what I mean? Like it's a mess beyond the bedroom, you know, you get me? Like, and the anchor's there, do you know what I mean? Which is never really the strongest foundation to build anything on, to be frank, you get me? Like, and I think oftentimes, again, I'm only reflecting on our community when I say this, that we fall in love with the aesthetic, or we fall in love with the narrative as opposed to the reality. Do you know what I mean? And we don't take the time out to really objectively observe the reality. Do you know what I mean? And again, sometimes that's really more of a reflection of us than even the person in front of us. You get me? Because like I said, if you told me you like flowers and shopping, then I can afford to give you flowers and shopping, but all I want is a good time, or, you know, every other week or whatever it be, then that's a no-brainer for me. You fit me. Let's go. Let's go flowers and shopping, and I'll see you 2 weeks time. Do you know what I mean? Whereas you're in those 2 weeks wondering, scratching your head, cussing him out to your girlfriend, haven't seen you for 2. Who's that he posted on Instagram? Do you know what I mean? I didn't promise you anything more than what you said you liked. In fact, I didn't promise you that, but I've just mirrored what you like because it fits what I like. Do you know what I mean? And this is where the accountability. This is why I clapped because I'll be real. Very rarely you hear women talk about being accountable where relationships are concerned.
We need to be.
There's a whole like over exaggerated dynamic, as you know, where any time a relationship breaks down, him fine. He was a dog. He was what this. He was neglectful. You know, and never even a moment do they think about what did I do or not do to contribute to this reality.
The common denominator in the relationship is going to be self. Look at self.
Oh, hello. Hi. Hi.
She's arrived. She's here. I do as I'm told.
Yeah, it's always here.
You sit down on the chair
I'm a woman that
with 4
listens. I'd just like to say, I love what you said about being accountable and being responsible for your actions. And I think sometimes women are not, and they always want to blame the man for their circumstance. And I think it's about you working out, what do I want from this relationship? You know, do I actually want a relationship? You know? And I think you have to be honest about that. And I think sometimes women, they pretend like they want a relationship when really they don't.
Or they pretend like they're ready.
Yeah, it's about really being honest, and that's okay. You're not in a place emotionally to be in a relationship, and that's all right, you know. And I think we feel pressured sometimes to say, I want to be in a relationship, and really you don't really want to be in a relationship because your actions don't display that at all. And the whole thing of waiting, I think there's a lot of merit in that. I agree with you. I think it is a game, and men and women know the game. We know the rules. It is a game. Men know the rule, the game as well, the whole waiting thing. And he will wait, and sometimes he'll wait because he knows that's the lady he wants. And sometimes he'll wait because he knows he's just playing a game to just get what he wants. So it's about working out, actually, what do I want from this? And going with the flow, I think, you know, it's not just saying, who's heard of the thing that Steve Harvey says about the 90-day, and the whole kind of women think like men. What does it think like a man? I think it's always about yourself and what you want from the relationship, and being honest and listening as well. Because I've just only the other day we were with my husband and his friends, and he was saying, you know, we know about a relationship where a guy doesn't really want any commitment from this woman, and he's told her, you know, and that's what I'm saying. Is she listening? I bet if I phone her today, she'll be like, oh, you know what, he's messing me about and all that. But I know the other side of the story. He has told her, but she is reading something else because that's what she wants to read. So I think it's about listening and seeing the actions. You know, do the actions, you know, does the actions marry up with what he's saying? And also, what do you want? And then eventually, I think you'll get what you want.
Thank you so much.
Don't phone her. Don't phone her. Don't mess up yourself in her business. But going back onto the time thing, I'm glad you said about the game. You said the word game is a terrible word to use, but we all understand why it's used. A comedian said on a stand-up, I can't remember which comedian it was, but it said that women know within 2 minutes of meeting any guy whether she's going to sleep with him or not. And it's up to him to mess that up. So then the game is actually starting from a woman, isn't it?
Women are more in control than men.
Of course.
Because we're in control. When it comes to sex, I would say women are in control.
Of course, because the man has to. You have to give consent.
You have to give consent. So we're the ones that control.
There's not many men that are going to turn it down.
Yeah.
Am I right?
We have to, though.
Turn it down.
We have to at some point.
Oh,
at some point.
You just messed up everything.
No,
Turn what down? Have you turned it down before?
Absolutely, I've had to. But this is
your mic.
Yeah, bring it.
Getting too much long at him.
I'll be real. Like, again, you got to remember there's different caliber and different experiences, different levels of both sides, innit? You got women who, without trying,
Every man, whether he even thinks twice, is looking twice at her. You got men who have a similar experience because of their position in life, or because of their aesthetic, or because of they're in a room where it's only about woman and hard in man, whatever it be. You understand? Like here, especially church. Let's be real. You understand? Like, come on, man. Yeah. So, Shaq is terrible.
There's three of us. There's three guys. Mum, I'm not counting you because that's just disrespectful.
But just to answer your question, I think it's important for a man to learn that discipline of valuing himself, especially in a sexual context. I see that from experience of not always having that discipline and learning why that was necessary to cultivate it, because we're nurtured the opposite way around. Yeah, whereas women are nurtured to be chased and to fend off the suitors, men is the complete opposite around. Jack, yeah, pretty one, yeah, whatever it be, yeah. Until you grow up and you end up in a whole string of toxic situations that if you're mature enough, you realize are actually toxic. You get me? And like I said, the world at large, like for example, I'm being presumptuous here, but let's say Boris Johnson was a woman. He'd have never been in office with his bag of picnic all over the place and the scandals, and he would have never even got into office, let alone be able to resign or whatever the situation be. You know what I mean? Because of society. You know what I mean? Society holds certain values up where women are concerned and holds certain values up where men are concerned, and sometimes they're twisted, as you know. You know what I mean? Like, so the thing for me is, again, I've said it 100 times, but it really comes down to self and what value you place in self. If you don't place sufficient value on yourself in every context, whether it be emotionally, spiritually, sexually, you're likely, almost inevitably, going to end up muddling up yourself in situations that don't serve you. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think women are more familiar with that because women are just more familiar with the whole dynamic of being emotional and being vulnerable and the results it has on them, and the fact that they get pregnant. They get pregnant, or they get labelled. Do you know what I mean? So if they're too susceptible to certain things, by the time they've gone through 6-7 baby father, everybody knows that. Do you know what I mean? They're labelled as something. Or, like I said, by the time, literally, you know, they're pregnant, they've got to take the best part of a year and a half to reconfigure what's happening with them. Man, as you know, can drop seed everywhere and they can think twice sometimes without even, you know, before they've taken note of what am I really doing with myself, what is the, you know, what's the output of me being here. Like, so for me, especially as a father with sons, like, it's a very key thing that I try and engineer with my boys, because it wasn't taught to me. You know what I mean? I got to a certain age and a certain experience that made me have to reflect and say, what was I even doing there? You know what I mean? Why was I even in that situation? I didn't even like her. Real talk, you know, you said about turning stuff down. Alright, to be very frank, I'm a musician, I'm a singer, I'm on stage a lot, I'm in the limelight. You know what I mean? So oftentimes I've had to differentiate between, do you actually like me or you like the show? You know, the kind of thing, like, you like the show, you like the guy who comes in, who's got all the confidence and all the people are showing attention. But when you do that as a day job, you know what I mean, like, and you do it all the time, you better put some filters in place, or you're going to die ears, brother. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're gonna, do you know what I mean? You've got to have some sort of disciplines in place. You can't just be Jack the Lad in every given scenario. It's going to be destructive at some point. You get me? But I think for men, it's something we have to proactively be conscious of. For me, I think it probably started with religion and spirituality before I was really conscious about certain things, and then how that, you know, evolved into other spaces in my life. But ultimately, if you don't have that, and it's different for different men, like I said, because you've got other men who, that isn't their experience, they're not that confident, they haven't had that much experience with women, and so they're more susceptible to just anything that's thrown at them they're going to catch. You get me? But I know that I was grown in that environment, that literally there's women I've slept with that on reflection I would have never, why did I even go there? I only went there because I felt challenged. Literally, I felt challenged, like, no, as a young man, if I get a shirt a certain way, you have to put down her breasts, and you know what I mean? And now I'm looking back like, nah, never again. You know, like, so.
So now you've had that experience, you were able to implement that with your sons from an early age. So maybe you had to have gone through that, unfortunately. But now, how old are they?
My son is 19 well, my oldest son, my youngest boy's a baby, but I've got lots of young men in my influence. But I would have rather been taught that than had to learn it myself. Yeah.
Yes. So now it's your time to tell them in your own way. So unfortunately, you have to do. You learn the hard way.
Somebody have to break the cycle.
But you exactly. Someone has to break the cycle, otherwise it's constantly over and over again. You know. So yeah.
I thought to ask, it's more of a question, but where does the community play in for this? Because we've been answering from our experiences or what we feel.
Yeah.
And you were a perfect example in regards to, like, when you said don't phone a friend. Because I was thinking, oh, how do you have that conversation with them? Like, as a friend, shouldn't you be like, we need to talk? Because you're hearing, I hear you hear this. But what I'm hearing from him, but then when you said stay at the people in business, like, yeah, we'll stay at the people in business.
But I have actually said that.
I would say that.
Okay, and she's still like quite direct,
Right.
Say, well, you know, how about this, how about that, what's it saying?
She'll turn it around.
It's always like that.
She
loves him, so, you know, you can't say nothing to him. That's nothing to do. You've got even to
But that's just my question, like, where then does the community come in and, like, look after us? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, otherwise we'll be doing the independent black woman again and
but then it goes back to, you know, the same way, like, me being accountable for the partner that I wish to have, you know, or wish to be in a relationship with. I'm accountable for the friendships, the relationships I have in my life. Like, I went through many years, and the face is coming with me calling like, oh, I love everyone, they're my friends,
Yeah, right.
Fiona, this is my new friend. And she was going for the same, no new friends, and I'm like, introduce you to my new friend. And
I'd be like,
I don't like her energy is off.
No, keep it real, no. What I would say, she'd be, a situation would present itself, will be in a gathering with lots of people, she'd introduce this person, but because I'm friendly, I'm like, hi, how are you? And I'd be like, something
something
not
right.
The aura is off.
And the thing is that I could feel the same thing, but then I went through a long stage of not trusting my own intuition. So there was a few friendships I won't mention,
which I called out from the beginning.
She said from the beginning.
Because this lady, my sister cousin friend, love her to bits. She wears her heart on her sleeve, and she's literally, you're my friend, I love you, yes, you're my friend. I'm like, yeah, I only just met you today. My name is Fiona. Stay over there. We can conversate. I've kind of got my guard up until I.
So you let them grow on you.
They have to grow on me.
You take them
because, and for me, it's all about the aura. If your aura, you feel a certain way, I'm like, something's
I'll
off.
always be hoping and like, oh, you know, hopeful that will change. Yeah, and she'll always check me, and I'm like, yeah, but you just.
But why are you talking to this person every single day? You're on the phone to this person every single day. You met them, like, why are you chatting all up business?
And then tutus.
We get on, I'm like, is it?
She doesn't answer the phone. That's it. That is it. You meet them, you give them everything, they know you, and they call you, and you don't
why are you
answer
touching me? Why are you touching me?
Cousin, sister, friend.
Don't touch me.
Cousin, sister, friend. You were hugging a minute ago. But that's really good because that's really good that the two of them as our hosts are completely different. Go on, give her a hug. Go on.
But yes, this is the lover, and I'm the like, yeah,
Fighter.
I'm like...
So I've learned a lot from Fiona of how to set my boundaries and protect myself and like not to question my intuition. My intuition's telling me, yo, damn. Like, trust it. Yeah, like, no, it's shark, serious, that, yo, you have no idea. I've got one name in particular and you know what I'm talking about. It was just like, bro, what the hell?
Because you want to see the good in them.
Yeah, and that is, Verona, don't point at me.
What happened there? I need to say something. What happened there was that was a bit of Fiona in Naomi. That wasn't Naomi. That was a bit of Fiona in Naomi.
Spirit went into it. I was like, right.
Auntie, after Monday night, I was expecting to hear a lot from you. There must be something you want to say. Come on.
Give us with the final speech, Auntie. Go on.
You can wrap it up.
Hey.
You know when you get back to wrapping up. Links.
Give it to Vera.
Me? I'm worse than you. No, I haven't had enough to drink.
What would you
Oh
like?
yeah, I remember last time. No, don't buy her drink. Stop it. Don't buy her drink. Don't do it. You drank and then you got all like, you nearly hurt that woman.
No, Alicia, where is she?
Stop it. Just get the water. Only water.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, like going back to what I was just saying, it's like accountability plays a huge part in like a lot of my decisions, and I check myself a lot with friendships, with even like business relationships, potential, like any kind of potential. It's just like, what is my spirit telling me? You know, and trust in that fully, like. My spirit's never up, and when I've gone against it, it's proven to be right every single time, you know. So yeah, that's what I'll really end with, is like me trusting my spirit, my intuition, and moving forward with that. And yeah, I wouldn't say life has got easier, but it's I have a better understanding of myself. I'm still learning about the world, but yeah, having a better understanding of the world, and just like with my openness, be open to the different dynamics, but then like there's certain messages that I will get, and it's just like, okay, I'm not receiving that message for no reason.
That's right.
You know, and it will come in different forms. It could be visually, it could be sound, or something will happen. It's just like, that's not happening for no reason at all. But yeah, me giving the power back to myself, and understand that I have the power to choose or not to choose, to stay there or to walk away. I'm constantly learning, but I'm constantly learning.
But we all know.
We all are. Every day is all learning. You never stop learning.
Every day is a school day.
Yeah, but then there are people that, you know, profess to, they don't need to learn nothing.
We all need to learn.
You know, but constantly learning and constantly growing, and that'll be me, all of us, until the day that we die, you know.
Oh, it's all gone a bit downhill. Talk about death, right? I'm not dying. Until I do the two-legged chair. I'm going to call you the two-legged chair lady. Can you show us what you meant? Not literally.
Do a demonstration.
I feel like at my age I've missed out on something. I bet you've done it.
2 legs.
2 legs of the chair and upside down woman.
Sounds
I know about the wheelbarrow.
Oh my gosh.
Every day is a school day.
But yes, people, like, thank you so much for such a beautiful evening, being here with us. We appreciate you so much. We could continue to go on. We've actually gone over time, so we will wrap up the conversation and play some tunes. If you want to wind up your waist, get up and wind up your waist, because I think I will begin doing that. But yeah, no, thank you for being here with us and like joining in the conversation and sharing, because like, yeah, it's not just about us talking, like we're learning as you're talking, you know, as you're sharing. So yeah, thank you. Pick up yourself, man.
Just like she said, thank you. We're just so humbled and we're so grateful. Like I said, this just started from us speaking on the phone to Instagram, and now this is like our second event. So like the second of many, because it's something that we enjoy doing, we love doing, and we found from the first event and from this event, just seeing the way that everybody interacts, and we know that someone always goes away with something.
I'm going away,
and I'm going away quite a bit. And like they say, every day's a school day, huh? Yeah. I learned some stuff today. I did. But yeah. Hi, Mom, I love you.
Hey. Just know that if
she's been very quiet today, just on Instagram. She had a lot to say.
The next event we might only have one sister.
Yeah.
I might get bust up. You never told me that you were sleeping with anybody in the 20s. But let's give it up for our barman who's been looking after us.
Thank you.
What's your name? Mike, look after yourself as well.
Thank you.
Make some noise for the sisters. Is that it? Come on. And for yourselves, do not buy this lady a drink.